Okay, here is the Alientronics Reed Ghazala original. So we have this little Casio. We have a video about it. We went to go take out the batteries. I checked the chamber to make sure there's no corrosion. There was some corrosion, so I decided to take out the screws, and we're gonna take a peek inside the original Reed Ghazala piece right here. So this will be one for the circuit benders. Let's see here. Oof, it's kind of stuck. Actually, I will be right back. Okay, and we're back. Let's document. This was made off of a Casio SA-2, found at Radio Shack back in the late 90s, 1997 maybe-ish. So, this is a circuit.
It's not bad.
Look, we have corrosion on here.
Where's the corrosion?
Right here, but here's oops.
Stop.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at it.
It's 25 years old.
Alright, we're gonna clean it. So,
some Q-tips and some 99.9 alcohol.
I don't know if I want to use that high of alcohol. So there's a series of clips in the front right here that are kind of semi-problematic, because you can see those long tooth ones right there. So you have to be very, very gentle. It takes a couple minutes. Don't overdo it, okay? Here's the speaker that they came with, 0.5 watt 8 ohm. With the numbers and stuff. And you can see he ran all these wires and grounds and other weird madness. Yeah, there's all these. I don't know if he did anything to the caps. I'm sure there's probably ones added and removed. I really doubt it.
Something.
There's the processing unit right here. It's made by Oki, Japan. That is a M6387-11. We have a subcode here 5062305. And here's, you had to put some glue to, I don't know, there's like a capacitor down in there. Wes, check this out. Yeah, this is a through capacitor that is hot glued down to the fascia of the keyboard. Here's some like button resistors and stuff. And actually, if you look down in here, there's another one right there. See the cap tips right there? And they're linked all the way around to some other things that are in here. Now these are the pots and the toggle switches, okay? Let's flip her over. So normally he does a lot more, but this was a special trade-in deal. So it's kind of like a limited trial type version. And then let's see in here, you can see there's, I don't know if that's just dust or debris. Here's, it tells you how many cells you need for. And here's some weird stuff going on in here. Look, it's been modified. He had to hack out parts of the bottom in order to get parts of it to fit back in together. And I don't know what all this weird dust and stuff is. That looks like battery corrosion. This is awful. But then again, it is 25 years old, so custom modified synthesizer. So all that's going to get cleaned up. We're going to come back to this, and it's going to be night and day. Okay, so here is mid-stage. What you want to do is spray it with a handy-dandy WD-40. This will corrode all the alkaline battery acid that's in there. Now, I tried to wipe it a little bit with a terry cloth right here. As you can see, this is going to be kind of hard. Because there's just so little room to get in there. This is a micro synthesizer, you know what I mean? Like, look how tiny this channel is. And if I folded it into fourths, it wouldn't fit in there. I'm gonna have to spray and soak it more. It's just like not enough. Like this side is looking good. This is gonna take a lot. Alright, so I had to get a little fancy with it. Get out the swab kit. So, I was using this to break it up so it'd be easier to wipe off. And I just got like a big goop of it right here. Kind right in this area. Yank that up. But you can see, this is even after the second spray, after letting it sit for a while. I sprayed it. I sprayed it twice and drained it. I'm about to spray it another time, but, you know, you gotta... This is just horrid. Okay, so, this is a method I'm kind of enveloping. It worked good just this first pull, so I'm gonna kind of quasi-attempt it again. So I did part of this channel, starting from way back here, okay, and just shovel it straight forward, right out the battery compartment. See that? That's all battery acid. Alright, instead of getting all over the table, oops, I was wiping it over here on this paper towel, which it's a lot more effective when you're using both hands and holding the towel. So I would say do that as much as you can, but there's also a lot back here that's gonna be more problematic, you know, come up and probably scoop out up like this, and just, you know, as many passes as it takes. On this side of the compartment, this is actually dust that got hit with the WD. But you can tell the difference between the acid because it kind of looks like sugar, you know? So this is, I haven't passed on this one yet, okay? Look at that. Oh my god. This is horrific. So now re-examining the battery cover plate, you can see that there are clear signs of very bad corrosion here as well. You know, you wouldn't even have to open it up. Hardly all you'd have to do is take this plate cover off. And I didn't know if that was house dust or not, but that is all acid. So this will also have to be sprayed down and cleaned. It's good. Be very careful. You know, don't get too aggressive right there, okay? And don't do alcohol. It'll make it brittle. Do not use alcohol at all. Okay? No alcohol. Okay, so this is basically from like the third hardcore spraying. Okay, so now you can kind of see there's still a little. We'll probably be able to get in with the rag now, and you can see down here it's pretty much liquefied the acid, okay? This is why I use WD-40, and not alcohol, okay? No isopropic alcohol. Dump that out, you know. So another thing you want to be aware of is the inside of the battery cavity right here, because it's getting all over inside of there as well. So clean that up too. Probably. The roll is out. Yeah. Okay, now that it's getting a lot more clean, you know, this is after rubbing with a paper towel a couple times. You can see now, there's still some right down in there, you know. You can see some chunks here and there. So I'm gonna like move down into like a little finer guy like this, rather than kind of the shovel. This is where I got spatula. And you know, just twist down in here, get as good as I can. Then we'll come over here, revisit the battery compartment. This has been sitting for, I don't know, at least like a 10 or 15 minutes maybe. And then once that's wrapped up, check the side of the cavity, clean that, and then we'll get to the spring and the PCB. So also there's like some pieces in here that kind of look like battery acid removed from the compartment over here, but these are actually just from modifications that Reed Ghazala had to do to this to get it to fit back together. But I don't understand what was going on with this one. I don't know if that may have been like a authentication thing, or I don't know, maybe this one just wasn't clicking back together as well and he had to do a little custom modification there. But yeah, we're almost there. And we'll kind of blow up this with just whatever, probably even just a spray bottle, and let it dry thoroughly, very thoroughly. It needs to be bone dry before any reassembly begins. So another method that can be used is going to be used. You want to grab a terry cloth, Not a microfiber, but a terry cloth just has more scrubbing power ability. A little further reach than a microfiber. And just wrap it right around that P1 screwdriver that was used to take out all the screws in the back. And then you can kind of use that to get right down in that part of the channel at the very end right here and here. You know, I have it a little extra layered up right now, but you want to be very gentle when you do something like this, because you don't want to cause unnecessary scuffing on the inside right here, you know, because then there's cause little flakes and debris and more dust to be floating about inside the unit, you know, so try and avoid scratching it if you have to wrap the screwdriver around the towel. So I'm going to demonstrate kind of more of the action, what's going to be effective in the bottom of this cavity, because there's all those grooves and whatnot. What you're going to want to do is, you know, get the towel, let's have it folded a little bit, you know, look at a little fold. Place it right in the corner, okay? And then we're going to push straight down with the screwdriver and kind of just twist it a little bit. Oops, it's kind of hard, I can't do it while I'm filming at the same time. Alright, here, let's grab it with the other hand here. Okay, so now I got it in my right hand. So you're going to kind of push it, kind of, you know, scoop up a little bit. But you can just kind of stuff it. Just stuff it in there, man. Stuff it and just give it a little twist. It's much easier to do when you're using both hands and you're holding down the compartment with the other hand. But, you know, kind of like a down twisty motion, and that'll get it up, and then you can take it and just kind of whoop, whoop, you know, and then this is almost near clean. I'm gonna have to do one little pass right up in here with the terry cloth, and then that might be about as good as I can get. If you have access to, say, like an air compressor, you know, that might be good. You could use that to blow out a couple bits, but also be aware compressors can carry moisture, so make sure it's really dry after. And here's an example right here of why you have to continually clean out this side of the cavity. See, that's acid. All right there. Yeah, and it's very messy, you know, you can't, it's hard to control. The spray is going to want to kind of go everywhere once you start scrubbing and moving and dumping it and whatever. So you're probably going to want to, like, let it sit outside for a while. And I'm probably going to go find a compressor, actually, and give this some air. You know, I really didn't get all of this dust down here yet, but it's a process. It takes a long ass time, and this is why it's so much quicker. You just take the batteries out. It takes a matter of seconds, or you end up spending a whole lot of time doing this. So don't do that. So this is nearing the completion phase. Essentially, use a toothbrush to get to this part. It's clean now. It's dried out. Now the difficult part is right down in here, and I've just been using standard style Q-tips. You know, it might take a few because it's kind of greasy because we use WD-40. But I think right now it's basically done, and you know what I'm going to do? It's a pretty toasty day here in Southern California. I'm just going to go set it on the edge of the deck in the sun for a little while. Okay? And we're just going to let it sit there, come back in a little while, and it should be good. Here we are back inside with the actual board. And this, I think, may be subtle enough. We're just gonna use the freaking, let's see if we can get another toothbrush, I think. Alright, you might want a hard bristle. Actually, we might need to tap that with WD, but don't spray it directly on this. You want to probably put a little bit like toothpaste. Just get a little on there, and probably put a rag around right up in here, and give that a little, oh shit. But don't do it at the dining table. It's going to get flaky and get everywhere. So we're taking this out back. Well, the spring cleaned right off very easily. You really don't have to do anything. Bling, 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 and it'll come off. All right? Knock it like one of those door stopper thingies when you're a little kid. Okay? But unfortunately, I dry hit that in that big puddle, pile. it has damaged the PCB itself. You can see the acid is eating at it. It's gotten pretty close to this little piece of solder junction, something right there. But unfortunately, it is not touching that and did not cause any corrosion there. So, could be worse, right? So I've got just a little bit of WD on here. You can actually see it follows up the PCB right up here. Dang, that's unfortunate. But I'm probably actually gonna rub this on the rag first and just barely moist, maybe. You know, we don't want to have to like set this out in the sun to dry or whatever, you know. So very sparingly of any, but we want to kind of neutralize where the acid is starting to affect the PCB itself, because I think over a long enough term of time it will continue to corrode in through there. Another point that you're going to want to check before you go to reassemble the unit is this prong right here, because this is the other side of the battery connector. So, and you can see there is some corrosion on there. And also be very careful when you're drying this board with the terry cloth to not catch anything, because like say right down in here, you know, you don't want to. Now most of you're not going to have these pots right here. I don't know how the stock model is set up. This is highly modified board right here. But and there was a little sheen right here, but even after just a couple minutes, it's airing out. You know, if there's a little fine amount of shine, it'll air out. You know, it'll evaporate essentially. But yeah, just don't overdo it, because you don't want anything leaking down in here, because then you can get some type of short or something, okay? So don't come near any of these capacitors, you know, and very, very thoroughly inspect. Like, I can tell that those did not get anything on it, okay? And I don't know if your capacitors match these. This is a circuit bent board, okay? It's been about 20 minutes or so, and it feels about 90 degrees Fahrenheit out here. I know we measure temperature in Fahrenheit. Trust me, I use Celsius when it comes to computer science stuff and other things. Very dry. Okay, so these are the batteries that were in there, okay, when I decided to check the unit. And this is the particular one that was the last one to come out. It gave me my sign of corrosion, okay, that. So I already knew that this was indicative that there were problems inside of the unit. I just did not expect that. So even something like this can cause that whole nightmare that we just experienced, okay? So, even from certain angles, it's not even really visible, you know? It looks like it might just be standard spring wear. But to a trained eye, you can tell that's clearly acid. Okay, so this battery should not go back in here. Not even after cleaning or anything. Alright? Not even if you put it in the middle of the cell sequence. This is trash. Okay? Don't reuse that. Find another battery and plop it in there. So, on that note, actually, these are all trash. Because I saw one of them looked like it had a faint amount of kind of dust somewhere on it. Okay? Because this is it right here. This one, see that? Right there. Where it says installers. Right there. Right here, in a presión. Okay, that's from the corrosion from inside the compartment. Right? So, it had nothing to do with these Amazon batteries whatsoever. You know? These are fairly new. That unit is like 25 years old. But I'm not the one who left these batteries in here either. But see that one? That one's trash too. Throw them all out. All brand new. It takes 4 AA's to run this unit. Do not forget to clean out this cavity. Look, this is not cleaned yet. Just toothbrush it. Knock it off before you click it together. You don't want to do that after you click it together, alright? Before it gets clicked back together. So, this isn't just a standard Casio SA-2, we all know that. So, I just noticed as I was putting it back together is that this output...
A little loose.
Yeah, it's a little loosey-goosey. So, you just make sure this is orientated so there's not too much tension on the wire. As you tighten that up and just snug. Just snug it. You don't have to Hercules it or anything like that. Alright, this is fragile plastic. It is custom painted.
What I do?
So this video mainly focuses on cleaning out the battery corroded compartment. It's not really so much about tearing it down or whatnot. This is more of like a cleaning endeavor, obviously, as you've seen all we've gone through here. But just a pro tip, when you take out your screws, even though these are all identical, lay them in as close of a pattern as when you take it apart. That way you know you're going exactly in the same one, because sometimes there are depth and gauge issues. So, just be extremely careful about that. Even though these are all identical, you just want to put them back in the same slot. Another thing is, don't use a power drill when you're dealing with vintage electronics, especially not custom handmade pieces like this. Just use a screwdriver. Magnetic tip with some type of spindle. This one happens to be a Milwaukee, the best. But, yeah. So there's that. Okay, the unit is reassembled. And let's go ahead and turn it on. Okay. It's working. And that's that. Now take the fucking batteries out.